Hello, my friends. My name is Silas Crawford, and if there is an old pair of pliers lying under sockets, nails, and electrical tape in your toolbox, do not judge it by the rust. Most old pliers are not valuable. A common unbranded pair may be worth $10, $20, or $40, and even plenty of recognizable branded examples stay under $60. But the right patented, specialized, or unusual pair can be a completely different story. The value comes from the maker, patent number, specialization, material condition, and rarity. Today, we are counting down 10 types of old pliers that can still hide in garages, farm sheds, inherited toolboxes, machinist chests, and workshop drawers. And I am going to show you exactly what separates ordinary working pliers from the pieces collectors actually stop for. Before we get started, tell me where you are watching from and whether your father or grandfather left any old pliers in the family toolbox. Iowa, Ohio, Texas, England, Australia, it does not matter. And stay with me to number 3, because that is where crude hand forging, an old patent, and a strange shape can turn something that looks homemade into a serious research piece. Let me be straight with you first. This category is selective. The high values belong to exceptions, not every rusty pair. That honesty matters because it is exactly why the rare ones get overlooked. Nobody expects one odd pair of pliers and a bucket of ordinary tools to deserve special attention. And there's another reason these things survive. Electricians, plumbers, jewelers, watchmakers, saddlers, glaziers, tinsmiths, farmers, and mechanics all use pliers made for different jobs, and families kept them because good tools were rarely thrown away. Quick favor before we start opening these joints: if you like learning how to identify valuable old tools before somebody throws them into a scrap bucket, subscribe to the channel. Every week we break down makers, patents, strange mechanisms, trades, and small markings that separate ordinary workshop tools from pieces collectors chase, and the next good one may already be sitting in your own garage. Now start with where to look. With old pliers, the important information may be on the pivot joint, along the handles, or even on the jaws. Open the tool. Look at both sides of the rivet or joint. Run a finger over the metal and use a flashlight from the side so shallow stamped letters cast shadows through the rust. You are hunting a maker name, logo, trademark, patent number, patent date, or city. Do not toss a pair just because the mark looks gone. Surface rust can hide a stamp that becomes readable with careful cleaning and low-angle light. The second clue is the patent. Look for patented, a date, or a full number. An old patent number can do two things at once: date the tool and identify the exact mechanism. If you find one, you can cross-reference it through the United States Patent and Trademark Office database and compare the drawings with the tool in your hand. Patented pliers from the late 19th and early 20th centuries are exactly where collector interest starts getting stronger. The third clue is the maker. An unbranded pair commonly lives around $10 to $40. A common branded example may reach around $60, but rare models from respected manufacturers can move far beyond that. The name is only the first filter. You still have to identify the exact type. Material and construction help too. Older examples may use forged iron, early steel, bronze components, wooden details, worked rivets, and carefully fitted joints. Around the early 1900s, you start seeing more machine-made steel bodies, wire-cutting jaws, grooved grips, and standardized riveted construction. New vanadium steel, rubber grips, and molded plastic handles generally point toward later mass-produced tools with lower collector value unless the exact model is unusual. Then study the jaws. Fine needle points, parallel jaws, broad square gripping faces, tweezer-like ends, jeweler forms, watchmaker profiles, glazing shapes, and other specialized jaws can be more important than the overall size. Specialized jeweler and precision pliers are especially interesting because narrow trades produce fewer of them. Condition still matters. Crisp markings, a joint that moves correctly, light surface rust, and complete jaws help. Deep corrosion that has eaten the mark, chipped jaws, bent tips, a loose pivot, weld repairs, or missing components hurt. Number 10 is the general branded vintage plier, and this is the base rule for the whole countdown. And put two rusty pairs side by side. One is completely blank. The other has a clear maker's name stamped near the joint. The marked pair gets the second look. Common unbranded examples often fall around $10 to $40. Common branded tools can reach around $60. That is not a fortune, but the maker mark moves the tool out of anonymous scrap and gives you a research path. Record the full stamp before cleaning further. because one partial letter can separate a common hardware store tool from a specific patented model. Names worth noticing beyond the main list include O. Barnett Tool Company, Cryoder, Crescent, Diamond Tool and Horseshoe, Klein Tools, Heller Brothers, Old Snap-on, and Patented Combination or Multi Tool Pliers. None automatically means big money. They simply tell you to keep looking. Number 9 is the original Peterson Vice Grip from DeWitt, Nebraska. Look for Vice Grip, Pedersen, or early Peterson manufacturing markings and the familiar locking mechanism that clamps and stays locked until the release is triggered. Modern locking pliers are everywhere, which is exactly why people assume old ones are ordinary. The collectible interest is in early original production, period-correct markings, unusual sizes, and intact mechanisms. Vintage examples and groups have sold around $77, with scarcer early models capable of doing better. Check whether the adjustment screw is original, whether the jaw is still aligned, whether the release works smoothly, and whether the stamped name matches the era. A modern locking plier with old grime on it is not an early Peterson just because the mechanism looks familiar. Number 8 is William Schollhorn Company and the Bernard Parallel Plier from New Haven, Connecticut. This design is one of the best examples of a mechanism that tells you to stop. Instead of the jaws pivoting through a simple arc like ordinary pliers, the compound linkage keeps the jaws parallel as they open and close. Look for Schollhorn, Bernard, patent references, and the distinctive multi-link joint. That parallel action was an ingenious solution for gripping flat work evenly, and early patented examples carry real collector interest. Values vary because condition, patent date, exact model, and completeness matter, but documented early examples command a premium over common pliers. Now, if you see a complicated joint with more moving links than you expect, do not assume somebody repaired it badly. Study the mechanism first. Would you recognize a parallel plier in a junk box? Or would that extra linkage make you think it was broken? Tell me below, because that is exactly the kind of false assumption collectors benefit from. Number 7 is Utica tools, especially old American-made pliers marked Utica NY USA. Look around the joint and handles for that wording. Utica developed a reputation for robust American hand tools, and older, unusual models attract collectors who build by maker, trade, or era. And common examples may not bring dramatic money, but early, scarce, or specialized forms rise above ordinary pliers. The important lesson is to use the full stamp. Utica alone is useful. Utica NY USA plus an unusual jaw, old construction, or patent detail gives you much more. Check the pivot for looseness, inspect cutting edges for chips, and look for later grinding that may have changed the original jaw profile. Number 6 is Pexto, the Pexto and Wilcox name associated with classic American trade tools, especially sheet metal and craft work. Look for Pexto stamped clearly on the handles or near the joint. Pexto made many tools, so the name alone is not rare. The stronger collector interest lies in specific occupational forms, older production, and specialized jaws that show exactly what trade the tool served. A common pair can stay modest, while scarce trade-specific examples deserve much more research. This is where occupation becomes a value clue. Electricians, plumbers, jewelers, watchmakers, saddlers, glaziers, tinsmiths, and other craftsmen all needed different gripping shapes. The narrower the job, the fewer tools may have been made. Number 5 is the specialized jeweler or watchmaker plier, and this is where precision becomes the multiplier. Look for very fine needle points, narrow smooth jaws, delicate square or round forming jaws, tweezer-like profiles, or tiny working faces that make no sense for farm or automotive work. Then search for a precision toolmaker's mark. These tools were designed for wire, watch parts, jewelry findings, and other small work where ordinary pliers were too crude. Fine antique jeweler forms are among the stronger value everyday plier categories because they are specialized, lower production, and often beautifully made. Exact prices depend heavily on maker, jaw form, age, and condition, so do not invent a high value from small size alone. A common modern jewelry plier with rubber grips is not the same thing. What you want is old construction, precise jaws, proper markings, and a specialized form. If the tips have been ground down, bent, or chipped, collector interest falls quickly. Before we move into the top 4, remember the rule. Specialization is not proof, but it is a reason to research. The stranger the jaws, the more carefully you should ask what occupation created them. Strange plus maker plus patent plus period construction is where the interesting combinations begin. Number 4 is the old fence plier and the broader family of farrier and farm pliers. This is the kind of tool that belongs naturally in an old barn because one pair could do several jobs without sending a farmer back to the shop. A classic fence plier may combine hammer face, wire cutter, gripping jaws, staple puller, and claw-like features in one heavy forging. Farrier tools can have their own broad jaws and shapes meant for hoof and horseshoe work. Look first for a maker or patent near the pivot and handles, then study exactly what each part of the head was designed to do. Early forged construction, unusual patented combinations, scarce makers, and complete working jaws can move a farm tool from modest money into the hundreds. Common examples remain inexpensive. That distinction matters. The appeal comes from farm history, specialized construction, and sometimes decoration, but a modern fence plier with plastic grips is not suddenly collectible because it lived in a barn for 30 years. Look for forged iron or early steel, old rivets, honest wear, legible stamps, and a form that matches documented period tools. And if you grew up on a farm, tell me whether you remember a pair of these hanging by the fencing wire, because some of the best candidates survive precisely because nobody ever thought of them as antiques. Number 3 is the specialized trade plier. Sash and glazing pliers, hog ring pliers, old gas pliers, and other job-specific forms that confuse people because they do not resemble the familiar combination plier. A glazier may need a broad or unusual jaw for sash and glass-related work. Hog ring pliers are designed around closing rings rather than simply gripping a bolt. Old gas or adjustable pliers can have jaw arrangements that look crude or awkward to modern eyes. That is the opportunity. Collectors building a category by occupation often need exactly the strange tool nobody else can identify. Values vary widely, but genuine old patented examples and scarce makers can sell well above common pliers. The identification method is the same: maker, patent, jaw shape, material, and condition. Do not use the modern name of the closest looking tool and assume that is what you have. Search the old terminology too. Patent drawings and old catalogs can show you what the jaw was originally intended to do. Number 2 is the hand-forged or 19th century patented plier. This is where rough construction can become a positive clue instead of a defect. Look for forged iron, occasionally bronze elements, hand-finished surfaces, a symmetry consistent with early forging, old riveted construction, and a patent date or number from the 19th century. Some pieces look almost primitive next to a polished modern tool. That does not make them inferior. It can put them closer to the transition between individual blacksmith manufacture and industrial tool production. Values can range from tens into hundreds depending on rarity, maker, patent, completeness, and condition. The key is documentation. A crude pair with no mark and no identifiable purpose may simply be an old homemade tool. A crude pair with a traceable patent and construction matching the original drawing is a completely different object. This is the one I wanted you to stay for because the patent can turn visual uncertainty into evidence. If you find patented, a date or a number, write it down exactly and search it through the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Compare the jaw shape, pivot, handles, and mechanism with the drawing rather than relying on a seller's description. Number 1 is the rare patented combination or multi-use plier, the top category where unusual design, scarce maker, patent history, special material, and complete original construction all come together. These are not ordinary electrician pliers with one extra cutter. They are short-lived inventions and highly specialized combinations whose mechanisms may include multiple gripping systems, cutters, adjustable elements, interchangeable features, special jaws, or decorative and plated finishes. Look for patent markings, a rare maker, unusual joints, unexpected moving parts, bronze or special finish components, and construction that matches documented historical designs. The best exceptional patented antique tools can reach into the thousands across the broader tool market, and rare pliers belong to the same research territory when the right maker, patent, condition, and scarcity line up. But this is exactly where we need to protect the credibility of the whole video. A weird plier is not automatically worth thousands. Most common old pliers still bring little money. The high end belongs to genuine exceptions. That is why you identify before you price. Now let us close the here's how to spot them promise with a method you can use on every pair in the toolbox. Step 1, photograph the pliers before cleaning. Take both sides, the joint, the jaws, the handles, and any strange mechanism. Then remove only enough loose surface rust and dirt to expose marks. Do not start with an aggressive wire wheel or grinder. Step 2, inspect the joint, handles, and jaws for a maker's mark, logo, trademark, city, or model. Use side lighting. Rotate the tool until shallow letters cast shadows. Step 3, look for PET, patented, a date, or patent number. If one exists, cross-reference it through the USPTO database and compare the actual patented design with the tool you have. Step 4, identify the specialization. Is it a locking plier, parallel plier, jeweler's tool, watchmaker's plier, fence plier, farrier tool, glazing plier, hog ring tool, gas plier, electrician's tool, or some patented combination? Step 5, study material and construction. Forged iron, early steel, bronze, wood details, old rivets, and carefully worked joints can fit earlier production. Machine-made steel with early wire cutters and grooved grips can point toward the early 20th century. Bright new vanadium steel, rubber handles, and molded plastic generally point later, but material alone never settles the case. Step 6, cross the maker, patent, specialization, material, and condition. That combination gives you the research path. There's another trap I want you to know because it fools people constantly. Dental forceps. Old dental forceps can look like strange precision pliers, especially when found loose in an estate toolbox. Many have spooned or beak-like jaws, stainless or German silver-looking construction, and medical maker marks. Those are evaluated as medical antiques, not ordinary tool collecting pliers. Do not call them jeweler's pliers just because the jaws are delicate. Identify the original profession first. Modern tools can fool you in the opposite direction. A heavy pair made from modern vanadium steel with molded rubber or plastic grips can look rugged and expensive, but still have very little antique collector value. Old-looking rust does not prove old manufacture. A tool left outside for 5 years can age faster cosmetically than a century-old pair stored in oil. Read the construction, marks, patent, and material together, and never discard something because the maker stamp is hidden. Rust builds up exactly where shallow lettering lives. Use a rag, careful cleaning, and side lighting before you decide the tool is unbranded. Condition comes after identification, but it can change the value dramatically. Light surface rust is often acceptable. Deep corrosion that is eaten through a patent stamp or changed the jaw geometry is permanent loss. Check whether the joint moves smoothly without excessive side play. Look at the jaw tips from above and make sure they are not bent in opposite directions. Check cutters for chips. Look for cracks around the pivot. Weld repairs can keep a working tool alive, but collectors generally prefer untouched original construction. A replaced rivet, added handle, ground down jaw, or welded brake can change the entire appraisal. Do not fix those things before somebody knowledgeable sees them. This is especially important with patented mechanisms. A tiny spring, link, stop, screw, or odd attachment that seems useless may be essential to the original patent. Do not throw loose parts away. Do not separate them from the tool. Do not grind an unfamiliar jaw into a useful modern shape. Do not repaint handles or polish early iron until it shines. The patina, tool marks, and old construction are part of what helps establish age. Values throughout this video are ranges and examples, not guarantees. Maker, patent, specialization, rarity, material, and condition can move the price enormously. Most ordinary old pliers are still inexpensive. Unbranded examples commonly sit around $10 to $40. Common marked tools may be around $60. Peterson vice grip examples in groups have sold around $77. Specialized, patented, or scarce trade tools can move higher, and the rarest exceptional patented tools occupy the upper edge of the market. That selective structure is exactly why a toolbox can be interesting without pretending every tool inside it is a treasure. When you are ready to check money, use sold results, not wishful asking prices. Search completed eBay listings with a sold filter using the exact maker plus the type. Peterson Vise Grip, Shullhorn Bernard Parallel Pliers, Utica Pliers, Pexto Pliers, or the exact patent number will give you a much better comparison than simply searching old pliers. Compare size, jaw type, patent markings, and condition. Then check antique tool databases, auction records, old catalogs, and maker reference resources for rare models. If the tool is genuinely unusual or patented, contact an antique tool dealer or experienced appraiser before selling. A specialist may recognize a trade or mechanism that a general antiques buyer misses. And do not forget the other makers I mentioned earlier. O. Barnett Tool Company, Kreuter, Crescent, Diamond Tool, and Horseshoe, Klein Tools, Heller Brothers, Old Snap-on, and other American makers can all deserve research depending on the exact model. The name is the beginning, not the conclusion. So tonight, open the toolbox, pull the pliers out one by one. Start with the strangest jaws and the oldest joints. Check the common combination pliers, but spend more time on anything that locks, moves in parallel, has tiny precision jaws, combines a hammer or cutter, looks like a farm tool, has an unusual trade-specific head, or seems hand-forged. Read every stamp. Look for Peterson, Visigrip, Schollhorn, Bernard, Utica, Pexto, and every maker you do not recognize. Look for patent dates. Check materials. Then research before you discard. Which would you most want to pull from your grandfather's toolbox? An early Peterson, a Bernard parallel plier, a delicate jeweler's tool, or some strange 19th century patented pair nobody in the family can identify? Tell me below. Value hides in plain sight, but with pliers, it often hides in the joint under a little rust, beside a patent number nobody bothered to read.